Welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 835. If you are writing a book or thinking about it, or maybe you've started writing your book but you need some help getting it done, you are in the right place. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh. If you're looking for me online, look for Christine Inc., like that stuff we write with. Each day, I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 20 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that three things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they can even turn a quote-unquote non-author into a published one. Those three things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. A curve does not exist in its full power until contrasted with a straight line. Robert Henri. And once again, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. And today I'm going to share a blog post I initially wrote back in May of 2020, because unfortunately it seems we're headed into yet another curve now. In my memoir, The Power of the Curve, I read an excerpt from that earlier this week on Sunday Storytime. Here's what that phrase, the power of the curve, means. It's the power of movement, of change. It's the power to take what life brings you and make the most of it. It's riding the wave. It's knowing that things will not turn out the way you planned, but that you always have another option, another way. And granted, you'll have to read the whole book to find out how I arrived at that definition, my life story, and I'll put the link in the show notes. Much of it came from the connective tissue I found between my most challenging life situations, beginning with my nearly life-ending back surgery to correct extreme scoliosis curves at the age of 19. It would be impossible not to see the parallels between the power of the curve and the events of 2020 and now this year, 2021. The COVID curve has shaped our individual stories and our collective story together. The initial curve was dark and unknown, but for most of us, it felt very far away. Then, in what seemed like the blink of an eye, the distant curves in the road were suddenly in front of us all, no matter where we were in the world. The curves then started coming faster and sharper. We barely had time to crank the wheel and veer around one or two more times before the next one was upon us. Something like this has happened before in my life. I was in my 20s. I'd gotten tangled up in a mess of dangerous curves out in Hollywood while aspiring to be an actress and screenwriter, and really aspiring to be anything creative that anybody would give me a shot at being. Somewhere in the blur of creating myself, seeking fame, and surviving life at 100 miles an hour, a nasty curve came out of nowhere and took the life of a close friend. I learned that in situations like that, when you're gripping the steering wheel for dear life, trying to catch your breath and slow your heartbeat to a gentler roar, everything inside you is telling you to pull over and camp out there, right in the middle of the curve, just to make it stop. It's the power of the curve equivalent of climbing under the covers and tucking yourself into the fetal position. You don't see how you can possibly drive forward another foot. But you do, because dangerous curves are no place to live. The power of the curve is learning from the curves behind you, but not letting the rearview mirror hold you back from the road ahead. The curves on the road in front of us now are in the shape of question marks. When will life move out of neutral and back into drive? Again. When will we feel safe on many levels? Again. When will it be acceptable to live? Again. It's also seeing our own part, individual parts in this shift. This is another lesson I've learned. You can look to others for guidance and advice, but ultimately sucking it up, putting your foot on the gas, and pressing it down is 100% up to you. When it comes to taking your chances on the curves ahead, you are in the driver's seat, you alone. Delegating to Uber is not an option. Finally, the power of the curve is realizing that only a thin, yellow, dashed line separates certainty from uncertainty, and you're the only one who can decide how you want to navigate it. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And be sure and drop by my Inc. Authors group on Facebook for motivation, accountability, book writing, publishing resources, and more. I always leave a link in the show notes. Until tomorrow, happy writing.